everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new released 6-inch Marvel Legends Ben Reilly Spider-Man figure from Hasbro. Now this figure is part of the new Absorbing Man wave that has just been released. You can pick it up at places like Big Bad Toy Store now. The figure comes in new style of packaging. This is the first wave for 2016. So we've got up at the top the Build-A-Figure Absorbing Man logo and then the Legends series logo. The figure's clearly displayed in a window box packaging, and then down below we have the Marvel Spider-Man logo. And then this figure is listed as Edge of Spider-Verse because it shares the same title as the Spider-Gwen. So we've got Spider-Gwen art on one side and the Ben Reilly Spider-Man art on the other. On the back we have a look at both figures and a brief bio in multiple languages. And then down below we have a look at all the figures in the Absorbing Man Build-A-Figure wave. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. So here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging along with the accessories. Now before we look at the figure itself, let's first take a look at the accessories that come with the figure. So real quick, this figure does come with a set of arms for the Absorbing Man figure. There's actually two different sets of arms for this figure, and this set comes with a pair of arms that features basically one arm that is completely just human, no absorbed properties on it, just complete skin tone, and then the other one is part metal, where basically reflecting the Absorbing Man absorbing some type of metal material. So like I said, this is one of two sets of arms that come in the Absorbing Man Build-A-Figure wave, and we'll look at the Absorbing Man in full detail after we've looked at all the figures in this wave, so we'll get back to this at a later date. Now besides that, the figure comes with a multiple pair of hands for Sensational Spider-Man. So we've got attached to the figure, when you take it out of the packaging, you have a closed-fisted hand and then a web shooting hand. You also then get another web shooting hand and another closed-fisted hand, the reverse of the set that are on the figure. And then you get a set of hands that are open, basically. And the detailing on the hands are pretty cool. With this version of Spider-Man, you've got kind of a solid blue with some of the fingers having the red with the black webbing stripes on it. So, you know, nice detailing overall on the hands. Now, besides that, you also get an extra pair of Spider-Carnage hands, which these are made to look like Carnage with the kind of claws and everything on it. So originally in the old Spider-Man cartoon, and then later in the comic book series, basically Ben Reilly here gets taken over by the Carnage symbiote and becomes Spider-Carnage. So you get that pair of hands, and then you also get this Carnage head, which is got the Carnage eyes and mouth with the teeth and everything, which looks good. But then on the back of the head, you still get the regular webbing design like Spider-Man has. So it's a bit different than the regular Carnage head because you've got that webbing. So basically, they've allowed you to switch out heads, which you just pop off and pop on the new head, and then you attach those hands as well, and you basically have your version of Spider-Carnage, which is kind of cool. I mean, I don't remember too much about the story, but I think it's kind of a cool concept. Now, when you're popping hands off on this figure, be careful because his web shooters are actually a separate piece. He wears, this version of Spider-Man wears his web shooters on the outside of his costume, and they're actually separate, so those will pop off when you take the hands off, so just be careful. The Spider-Carnage head and hands are just repaints of the head and hands from the actual Carnage figure Hasbro did. Okay, so for the figure itself, this is basically a reuse of the pizza-eating Spider-Man mold that we've seen, which works well for the Spider-Man character, so no real complaints for reusing the mold. Paint applications are pretty solid, basic but solid. You've got basically a dark blue for the blue portions of the costume, and then red, and it's close to the same shade of red as the Pizza Eating Spider-Man, but a little bit different, so it's not the exact same red as that one, which I think is comic book accurate. The line work on the red parts of the costume are pretty clean. Now on the big Spider-Man that's painted on his chest, on his front, and then on his back as well, I do have a little bit of sloppiness here where it looks like there's some, you can see some red coming through the black. This may just be on my figure, but I do have, you know, a few spots, especially on the back here, where there's some red coming through. On the joint peg for the knee, the lower peg is not painted red. On the pizza eating Spider-Man, this portion of the leg is blue. So, but on this one with the red and webbing, you've got that blue peg showing. So that's really my only complaint with the paint job. But the overall web lining and everything on his back and front and on his head and everything, and down here on his legs and such, and even on his fingers, I think came out looking pretty good. Now, as I mentioned before, he's got the web shooters that he wears on the outside. Those are just a gray plastic. There's no paint detail on them, and they've got some lines sculpted in it. So they look pretty true to what we saw in the comics for this, so no real complaints there either. And I do kind of like how they're separate pieces. They're not just like painted on or something. The eyes, like with the pizza-eating Spider-Man, are actually sculpted on there. You've got the white with the black outlining, so that looks good. You've got the hole on the back of the figure. So again, overall, I think they've done a pretty good job. If you like this version of the costume, then I think you'll dig this figure. And it's definitely a vast improvement over, I forget what, I think this was a Hasbro figure released for their Spider-Man line some time back. The articulation on this figure is terrible, and paint apps are not too great either, especially with the face. And so this new figure is definitely a vast improvement. Okay, so the figure stands about 6 1/4 inches tall, same height as the pizza eating Spider-Man. Also the same height as the first Ben Reilly Spider-Man they did for this Infinite Series line with the hoodie. Okay, so articulation on this figure is good. Head's on a ball hinge joint, so he can look left and he can look right, and he's got good up and down movement with the head. Can't pivot too much with this one, but again, good up and down movement. Arms are attached with a ball hinge joint, so you can get the arm out, and you've got good rotation there. Now with this figure in this mold, you also have that inner chest joint as well to give you more movement there at the shoulder, so with the back and forth, so that's good. You've got a bicep swivel, double hinged elbow, so he's got good bending at the elbow. And then he's got the swivels at the wrist, and also has the hinges on the hand, so good up and down movement for web shooting poses and such. You've got the ab crunch joint, so he can crunch down and he can go back there at the midsection. Then you've got the waist swivel. You've got the legs attached with ball joints, so you can do the splits about that much. He can get his leg forward that much, and he can do his leg back pretty well as good. You've got a thigh swivel. You've got a double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee, and then you've got the hinges on the feet, so good up and down movement, and of course ankle pivot. And 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet for this one. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like the figure. I'm not a huge fan of this costume design for the character. As far as Ben Reilly goes, I prefer the hoodie version of Spider-Man, so I like the first Ben Reilly figure that they've done for this line. But again, if you like this version of the Sensational Spider-Man, or you're just into collecting multiple versions of Spider-Man in different costumes, then I think this is definitely one you're going to want to add to your collection. I also like the little added Spider-Carnage feature you can do with this one. That's a nice little extra touch that they gave it. So this figure is out now with the rest of the Absorbing Man wave, at least online. You can get it now. It's in stock now at Big Bad Toy Store. I'll have a link in the description below if you want to check that out. I have not yet heard of this wave hitting regular retail shelves, but it probably is just a matter of days before that happens. So we'll have a full gallery of images up at marvelousnews.com. There's a link in the description below for that as well. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.